You ever been in that meeting? You know the one. The web designer wants this really clean, short headline, but the marketing person, they need a long, keyword-packed title for Google. It's this classic tug of war, right? One of the biggest headaches when you're building a website. But what if I told you that you could have both? What if you could pass a secret message to Google that your users never even see? Well, let's get into it.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? Do you have to choose? Do you go for this beautiful, minimalist design but then sacrifice your search rankings? Or do you create this amazing user experience that literally nobody can find on Google? It really feels like you have to pick a side. And this visualizes the problem perfectly. On one side, you've got the designer's dream, something short, punchy, elegant, like just welcome. On the other side, you've got what the SEO expert needs, top Webflow design and SEO services near you. Now, that's fantastic for search engines, but let's be honest, it can look pretty clunky and cluttered on a really clean web page. They just seem like they can't exist together. But there is a way to make everyone happy. It's this really clever little technique called the invisible H1, and it's all about giving the designer and the search engine exactly what they want, without either one having to compromise. So here's the absolute heart of the idea. You can show two different headlines at the exact same time. You have one, the visual one, that all your visitors see and interact with, and then you have a second, totally separate, keyword-rich headline that's in the code but completely hidden from sight. So the magic behind all this is a little piece of code, a CSS class, often called SR-only or screen reader only. Now, its original job was all about accessibility, giving extra information to people using screen readers, but it has this amazing side benefit. Search engines like Google also read this invisible text. It's a total win-win. Okay, so how does this little magic trick actually play out? Don't worry, you do not need to be a coding wizard to get this. Let's pull back the curtain for a second and see the simple steps that make a headline just vanish for users while staying perfectly clear for Google. The whole thing is actually way simpler than it sounds. First, you just write your normal, SEO-friendly H1 headline. Then, you apply that special style class to it. All that code really does is tell the browser to basically pick that text up and throw it thousands of pixels off the side of the screen. So it's still there in the code for Google to find, but visually, it's in another time zone. I love this analogy. This is the perfect way to think about it, really. Your users, they're the class, and they just see the beautifully designed page. But you're passing a secret note, your keyword-rich H1, directly to the teacher, Google, and nobody else even knows it's there. Now, this trick is really, really clever, but it's not the only way to solve this problem. And honestly, it's not without its critics. So before you go off and start hiding headlines all over your website, let's talk about an alternative and a few really important things to keep in mind. All right, let's put these side by side. The SR-only H1 trick we've been talking about, well, it gives you awesome control and a ton of flexibility over your text. The main downside is that some people feel like it's a bit of a hacky workaround. The other common move is to wrap your website's logo in an H1 tag and then use the image's alt text as your headline. It's simple for sure, but you lose a lot of that flexibility. And this is absolutely critical. The source for this explainer is super clear about this point. This is not a guaranteed 100% foolproof solution for every single website out there. SEO is constantly changing, and what works like a charm today might not work tomorrow. Think of it as a really powerful tool in your toolbox, not some magic bullet. So when you zoom out, the real takeaway here is about changing how we think. It's about finding harmony. Instead of looking at design and SEO as these two opposing forces that are always at war, we can find these clever technical ways to make them actually work together. So let's just boil this all down to the essentials. First, you don't always have to sacrifice beautiful design for good SEO. Second, using invisible code can actually improve the experience for both humans and search engines. And finally, and maybe most importantly, this all stems from accessibility, and making the web better for every user should always, always be the goal. And that leaves us with a pretty interesting question to chew on, right? We've just seen how invisible texts can solve a big design and SEO problem. So where else could we use these hidden but accessible elements to thoughtfully improve how a website works for everyone, both the people who see it and the people who don't? It's a really powerful idea to think about.